Hello fellows, how you doing? It's Rami, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about my social anxiety, and basically in this video it's going to be a continuation of my last video. I always try to I know that a lot of the times I speak about the same subject. The reason I do that is because I'm super passionate about what I'm talking about. So I'm super passionate about these videos, and I also enjoy doing these videos because it's something that I'm quite enthusiastic about. So I'm gonna be talking about this subject because it's something that helps me selfishly. I get off a lot of stuff out of my chest and I share it with the world. And when I just tell people what I'm going through and what happened to me in the past, and I know it's difficult and it's quite tragic and it's quite traumatizing for most people to hear about. I know this, I know it as a fact deep down, but I also feel like I've got to share it. Because if I don't share it and if I suppress it, it's gonna get bigger and bigger and it's just gonna bully me more and it's gonna get worse and it's never gonna go away. So one of the things that helps me selfishly to cleanse myself psychologically, so to speak, and emotionally and spiritually is just speaking about it publicly and sharing it with the open world. That's one of the most helpful things actually, and I was inspired to do these videos by lots of mentors around me. I had mentors like Johnny Berba, Nas King, Richard McCann, Tony Robbins, and many other, and like Nick Sparks. So these mentors are what really inspired me to start doing these kind of videos. So I used to listen to what they say, and I used to just take many different perspectives into consideration. And in these videos I'm basically elaborating on what they are saying. Well, not elaborating, it's not the right word. I'm just taking different perspectives from what they're saying, and I'm just starting to say, like, picking up many different aspects from what they are saying and mixing it in only one video. So that's what I'm basically doing in these videos. So let me just be straight to the point. So these teachers were fantastic. I know that they went through a lot in life and they've been through lots of tragic and traumatizing experiences, lots of tragedy and trauma and lots of different adversities in life. They've been through a lot, but this is what enabled them to manage their lives better, and this is what also enabled them to create a better reality for themselves, a much better reality actually, because they went through a lot of pain and a lot of suffering. They made that in itself enabled them to create a much better reality for themselves, and this is what enabled them to be inspirational to other people and to inspire people to inspire themselves. So all these different adversities and bad experiences they went through, it was quite helpful for them. So it's not a bad thing if you're going through. In this video I'm going to be also talking about let me get this right. I'm going to be talking about suffering, good suffering vs bad suffering, good suffering versus bad suffering. So good suffering is when you suffer and you know you're suffering and you admit that you're suffering, but you're doing something about it. You're going out and you're doing something practical to improve it, to get rid of it, or to at least reduce suffering in intensity. So good suffering is when you are suffering, even if you're suffering severely and badly, but at least you're doing something about it. You're not letting it get bigger and bigger and bully you worse. You're taking practical movement and applying practical steps in the world in order for yourself to reduce it and get rid of it. So that's what's called good suffering. Bad suffering is when you are suffering and you're letting fear bully you, you're letting your suffering get the better of you, and you're not taking action, you're not doing anything about it. That's called bad suffering, obviously. So, so, so when you suffer, the first thing you've got to ask yourself, you've got to ask yourself, why am I suffering? What's the reason am I suffering? How can I create something positive out of it? So you look at the suffering and you try as much as you could to create whatever you can, whatever positive things you can out of it. So you don't look at it as you look at it as a as a turning point. You just view suffering as something you could create lots of positive things out of. That's what you've got to do in order to excel at life and just become so much of a better person. So that's one of the things that I did personally, and this is one of the practical movements and steps I've applied in my own life. And that's how I enabled myself to overcome my social anxiety. And when I had social anxiety, I was suffering. It was a daily torture for me. And that's how bad it was. This is not an exaggeration. It was a daily torture. It was torturing me. It was making me feel inadequate. It was bullying me mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and on every single level you could ever think of. But I didn't sit on my ass and did nothing about it. I definitely went out, took action, and disproved it wrong. And I disproved many of my fears and insecurities wrong. And that's why I've always been courageous, to be honest. And that's what most people admire in me. And this is what I also admire in myself. And I'm not saying this to be arrogant. I don't want to sound like I'm an arrogant person, um, arrogant, showing off my knowledge, showing off that I'm some sort of a guru, because I'm far away from that. I'm quite far from being a guru, because people see me and they think that I'm some kind of a guru, or they think that I've got life handled, and I call it out immediately. I tell them the truth that I still haven't got life handled, and I still have got lots of issues to work on. I've got lots of fears and insecurities to get rid of. So I still haven't got my life handled in every area, and I mean that in every sense of the word. So when people look at me, they think that I'm something big. They just think that I am massive and I've achieved lots of big things in life. They think that I've got life handled, but I just tell them the truth that I still haven't got life handled, to be honest. I still have got lots of issues to work on. And that's why I'm good. The struggling is good. It's not a bad thing to struggle. Because life is all about struggling. Because if you don't struggle, there's no point living. You won't have motivation, and you won't have the motivation and the dedication to move forward in life and to start improving if you hadn't had suffering. So the suffering and the struggling is what really drives you to take action, is what really drives you to improve, and is what really drives you. I'm not going to say to compare yourself to other people, because that's not the right word, but it drives you to always aspire to be better than all the people around you. But of course, when you want to be better than the people around you, you've got to learn from these people. You've got to view how these people live and how they behave, and their lifestyle, and the way they interact with each other, the way they interact with people, and you've got to see their perspective on many levels and their attitude towards life. So you've got to take all that, and you've got to apply some of the things that they do in order for them. You should see how these people behave in life, and when you see the good things they do and how their behavior and what their attitude is in life, you take all these things in and you apply it, and if you get the chance to elaborate on it, would be great. But even if you just apply it without even elaborating on it, is also nice, and it will get you a lot of results. So the first thing I did, I got completely honest with myself and with everyone in life. That's one of the things that I did to overcome my social anxiety. Because if you want to overcome social anxiety, there is no point hiding. There is no point saying, trying to hiding your anxiety and trying to hide your fears and insecurities and pretend you haven't got it, because people will notice it straight away. So you've got to be completely honest with people, and when you are honest with people, you are honest with yourself, because the relationship you've got with yourself is a representation with the relationship you've got with other people. So you get honest with yourself, you tell yourself that you've got social anxiety, and you start working on yourself. You don't sit on your ass and do nothing. You take action, you do something about it. You start thinking of ways to turn things around. You start figuring out ways how to make this whole thing positive, how to create a positive change out of it. And then you tell other people what you're doing, so you come clean, you come honest. And as soon as you feel nervous, as soon as you feel you stutter, or you run out of things to say, or you go blank, completely blank, you feel stuck in your head, you just say to people, you just admit it to people. You say to people, "Hi, excuse me, I'm a bit nervous, I run out of things to say, I don't know what to say during a conversation, I'm socially awkward." So you need to give yourself all these kind of affirmations in order for yourself to be honest with yourself and with other people, which is very important. And the relationship is with the self. So you should have a good relationship with yourself first before trying to build proper connection with other people and to have a good relationship with other people. If you haven't got the relationship right with yourself, then there is no point aspiring to build proper and wholesome relationships, because it's never going to be wholesome. Relationships are going to decline, are going to fall apart if you that's how the relationships are you're going to build with the relationships. If you haven't got a proper relationship with yourself, all the relationships you're going to build with people is going to be based on dysfunction, people pleasing, and many other negative aspects. So you've got to build a wholesome relationship with yourself. Then you could start trusting other people and build a good relationship with other people. So when I had a bad relationship with myself, I didn't trust myself. I absolutely had no self-trust. I had lots of self-hate, and that enraged me. Just the thought of me having no self-trust, just as soon as I thought about it, that I've got no self-trust, as soon as that propped up in my mind, and as soon as I started thinking about it, I got quite enraged. I felt furious. That's how I literally felt. And I couldn't handle the fact that I couldn't trust myself. So self-trust is important. You should develop self-trust and try to surround yourself with positive people, with positive thinking people. As much as you could, try that. Try as much as you could to stay away from negative people and start surrounding yourself with positive people who have got positive attitude towards life. So I feel like I've spoken enough in this video, and I'm gonna do a continuation of I'm gonna do a continuation of this video, in which I'm gonna elaborate more on what I've just said now. So this video is not complete, so I'm gonna just change the spot, go and move to another spot and do completion of this video. I'm gonna do the completion of this video, sorry. So have a nice day and apply what I've just said to you, and see you soon.